So The Problem of Pain is an avowedly intellectual book. The question he's trying to answer is, how can pain exist in a world created by a supposedly good and all-powerful God? Either God doesn't choose to prevent pain, in which case he isn't good, or else he can't prevent it, in which case he isn't all-powerful. Lewis's main response, his chief way of addressing this problem, is to argue that pain is a tool in God's hands. For, as he writes, pain insists on being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Why do we need to be roused by this megaphone of pain? Because we're under an illusion that all is well, that our lives are our own, that we're the masters of our fate and the captains of our soul. But when pain threatens us, we're awoken to the reality of our situation, to our mortality, to the great uncontrollable factor in our lives, namely the day of our death. Only when we're forced to consider that unpleasant reality do we emerge from the sweet dream of self-sufficiency that we otherwise very naturally prefer. Remember the historical context in which Lewis wrote this book. It appeared, as I say, in 1940, the first full year of the Second World War. People were having to face death like never before. They wanted answers to questions which they hadn't been required to address so urgently for a long time. Throughout the 1930s, Winston Churchill had been warning that Germany was dangerous and that Britain was woefully under-equipped to meet that danger. You can't put off the evil hour forever, he said. At some stage, we're going to have to meet this enemy. As Churchill had nagged the governments of the 1930s, so pain, Lewis says, nags us to wake up to the peril that is facing us. And what is this peril? It's the illusion that we're fine as we are and don't need to change. But God loves us so much that he's willing to challenge us and our half-hearted understanding of what love might mean in relationship with him. So Lewis can say this: when Christianity says that God loves man, it means that God loves man. Not that he has some disinterested, because really indifferent, concern for our welfare, but that, in awful and surprising truth, we are the objects of God's love. You asked for a loving God, you have one. Not the cold philanthropy of a conscientious magistrate, nor the care of a host who feels responsible for the comfort of his guests, but the consuming fire himself, the love that made the worlds, persistent as the artist's love for his work, and despotic as a man's love for a dog, provident and venerable as a father's love for a child, jealous, inexorable, exacting as love between the sexes. Since God does indeed love us like this, and since we are under an illusion that all is well, and need to be woken up from that illusion, the process by which that happens is unlikely to be painless. It will be humiliating to be told that we are mortal, and that surgery is required to cure us of our misunderstanding. So that is the main thesis of The Problem of Pain. Pain reminds us of the truth of our situation, that we are less than perfect, that we are going to die, that we will have to face God, and that we will have to learn to love him, just as Jesus Christ did.